本日は JーCPAC 2018にご来場いただきまして誠にありがとうございます。これより安全保障セッション宇宙サイバー戦争をテーマとして3人の指揮者の基調講演を行いたいと思います。まずお一人目は国際政治学者藤井厳喜様です。藤井様は株式会社ケンブリッジフォーキャストグループオブジャパン代表取締役、早稲田大学政治経済学部政治学科卒業、クレアモント大学大学院で政治学修士号、ハーバード大学政治学部大学院政治学博士課程を修了、ハーバード大学国際問題研究所日米関係プログラム研究員政治学部助手を経て帰国されました。それでは藤井様です。よろしくお願いいたします。
This time I speak English. Let me allow to do that. Today we have two distinguished real experts of the field in cyber war and space war. One person is Gordon Chan. This is his book, Gordon Chan's book. In the Japanese title, やがて中国の崩壊が始まる. Its original English title is The Coming Collapse of China.Coming Collapse of China. This book was published in year 2001 in this country, and amazingly, in 2 months, it reached the 17th printing. It must be a bestseller at that time, say 17 years ago. And next distinguished guest is Toshi Yoshihara. I've been reading his papers and his books.This is one of those which is translated into Japanese. 太平洋の赤い星. Just China's naval expansion is the main theme, and he's the real expert. He was teaching at the Naval Academy of the United States. And today, rather, I'm a generalist, so I like to ask some questions to these two distinguished experts.But let me start with Peter Navarro's book, Crouching Tiger. Crouching Tiger is ready to attack others, right? This kind of posture. So this book starts with a century of humiliation.The Chinese communists want to say that from 19th century, China was invaded by colonial Western powers and also Japan, and that was the century of humiliation. So they like to say it's natural for Chinese to talk about or the boost now the nationalism which came very late, but now they have a right to talk about nationalism and expand the territory, etc. They have very assertive diplomatic posture, at least, to say the least, and they like to justify their very aggressive diplomacy with this term, century of humiliation. Then Peter Navarro writes, China's concerns in these dimensions are both fully justified and deeply rooted in its so-called century of humiliation. まあ日本語では屈辱の世紀、1世紀とでも申しましょうか。で、this century of humiliation ということをピーター・ナバロさんもまあ認めてる。Here, Peter Navarro accepts the concept of century of humiliation. But it's funny. I don't blame Dr. Navarro. He's a great guy. He's a great patriot, and he's a now great strategic leader to wage economic war against China. But he's wrong on this point, because at that time when this so-called humiliation started, The China was ruled by Qin dynasty. 日本語で言う秦ですね。秦朝。Qin dynasty lasted from 1644 to 1911. The Qin dynasty ruled China 267 years. But this dynasty was a foreign dynasty. This is not a Chinese dynasty. Qin dynasty is a dynasty of Manchurians. Manchurian are not Chinese. Qin was a Manchurian foreign power, foreign dynasty which ruled over China. Manchurians are rulers and they governed Tibet, Uyghur, and mainland China. At that time, Chinese are the kind of third-class citizens among the peoples ruled by Manchurians. Then we can think about the Mongolian rule of China. Mongolian dynasty ruled China about a century from 13th to 14th century. So century of accumulation is a fiction. If Qin dynasty is a Chinese dynasty, genuine Chinese dynasty, they can say, hey, that accumulation started, colonization of China started at that time. But Qin dynasty is already foreign dynasty and China was invaded years before. So I would like to say century of accumulation is a fiction, not a fact, which justifies Chinese current imperialism, militarism, and colonialism. The Chinese communists, they invaded Tibet, Uyghur, or East Turkestan and South Mongolia. They invaded and they made colonies of China, those areas. Those are the formerly independent countries. So China invaded and occupied these foreign soils. That is one thing I would like to say. The Chinese communists are very good at rhetorics, so they are very good at deceiving people, deceiving foreigners. We should not be deceived easily. Anyway, I don't discriminate Chinese people. I have many Chinese friends, and some of them are really struggling for the human rights, to realize human rights in that country. I respect these people. However, the common enemy is the Chinese Communist Party. Communists are communists anyway, regardless of nationality. Communists are liars. Liars, they are very good liars. They're very good at deceiving people. We have to be very, very careful. And today, I'd like to ask one question to these two experts, which are coming after me. I'm most concerned with the Chinese strategic concept of unrestricted warfare. Unrestricted warfare in the Japanese language, Chogen-sen. The two colonels of People's Liberation Army's Air Force published the book Unrestricted Warfare in 1999. Unrestricted war is an awful strategic concept. According to this concept, unrestricted warfare, they ignore and violate international law, treaty, human rights, freedom of any kind, democracy, to say the things we value most. In order to win the war, they are ready to do anything. Legal, illegal, it doesn't matter. So all the human activities, every field of human activity becomes the battlefield. This is the awful concept of war. Unrestricted means every human activity became battlefield. Say politics, of course, diplomacy, of course, economy, of course, trade and commerce, of course, science, technology, education, mass media, and so forth. For instance, Confucius Institute, Koshigakui, is nothing but a center for propaganda for Chinese Communist Party. This is not an educational institution. Americans work of that, and finally, some Confucius institutions are closed and they are put away from the US. That's a good thing. But in our country, there are 40 Confucius institutions, 14 or so, I remember, and they are established in universities and colleges. So they carry the authority, they borrow the authority of those universities and colleges, and they forcefully impose their view of history, the Chinese Communist view of history, on Japanese students. This is intolerable. The two authors of Unrestricted Warfare says, today's war, they claim, today's war should be the combination of George Soros speculation and Osama bin Laden's terrorism. Means they're ready to do anything, everything. Unrestricted war is more fearful than Russia's hybrid war. These days, the Russians are talking about the hybrid war, and this is a real threat to us. But more than that, this unrestricted means really unrestricted, not just the hybrid war. Let me refer to my own experience. 18 years ago, in the year 2000, Reita University fired me because I called China, China. China is the old-fashioned way of calling China. So I called China, I called China, so I was fired. This is very difficult to explain to foreigners. But consult the most authoritative dictionary of Japan, for instance, Koji is published by the Iwanami Shoten, which has a very liberal bias. But still, that Koji says Shina is the old name of China. That's all. But I was fired, to be exact. I was a part-time lecturer, so suddenly they stopped my class while I was teaching. That was my third year. I was a very popular lecturer, and obviously Chinese embassy instigated the students to make a fuss. Then when the students started making a fuss to oust me, the administration suddenly stopped my class. I was teaching 3 classes on every Friday, but they stopped my class, and the next March they didn't renew my contract. The part-time lecturer, as a part-time lecturer, they have to renew the contract every year. So really, if there is no problem, it's almost automatic, but they didn't do that. So de facto I was fired. I'm not talking about my sad experience. This way, unrestricted warfare comes into Japanese universities, came into Japanese universities and colleges. Then anti-Chinese Communist Party, that kind of, the professors cannot speak up. There's no academic freedom here. In many universities, professors cannot criticize Chinese Communist Party, say how many Uyghurs they kill each day, and Tibetans are under strong political oppression. In South Mongolia, people are suffering so much. We cannot talk about that, these things, in Japanese universities and colleges. This is awful, but I experienced this, and this is unrestricted warfare. In educational places, they like to restrict our freedom of speech, freedom of academia, freedom of study. In Japanese mass media, this is more often. For a person like me, don't appear on ordinary TV, etc., or radio, or in newspaper, because all the major newspapers are very pro-China, except Sankei Shimbun. And the problem is that that Asahi Shimbun is very lefty, very liberal, and very pro Chinese Communist Party. Yes, but also the problem is for instance Nikkei, Nihon Keizai Shimbun. That is the main economic daily of Japan, and that is very pro-China, pro-Chinese communists. That is a big, I think, the problem. Today, we can talk about the space and cyber war, and one question is China has very aggressive plans to destroy U.S. satellite network. As you know, satellite network is a lifeblood of U.S. military strategy. Of course, it's also economically very important. It's a satellite network is a key component of our modern economy. I understand China is developing so-called magic bullets, Maho no Judan, which deny, according to Pentagon, which deny to raid, deceive, disrupt, or destroy America's eyes and ears in space. Eyes and ears in space. So I would like to ask Dr. Yoshihara and do they have today enough capability to destroy US satellite network already? Do they have that capability already, or they haven't yet? I understand there are two categories of anti-satellite weapons. It's so-called hard kill and soft kill. Soft kill. Hard kill and soft kill. So in both categories, how much they developed, Chinese developed their anti-satellite capabilities and weapons, I would like to ask them. Anyway, October 4th, Vice President Pence, he delivered a great speech. His speech was a really epoch-making declaration, almost a declaration against China, declaration of war against China. If we understand, interpret the word war in a broader sense, certainly it's a declaration of war against the Chinese Communist Party. I was very happy to hear that. Finally, the lion is awake. The United States of America is awake of the danger of communist China. This has become the mainstay policy, foreign policy of the United States. This is really, really epoch-making, and this is good for Japan. That is the best news. Just since the election of President Trump, that is the best news to me. When I contacted with the high-ranking officials of the Bush Jr.'s administration, people were talking about congagement. Congagement means militarily we contain China, but in terms of economy, the economic field, engagement policy is right. We will be involved with Chinese economy. So military engagement, military containment, and economic engagement. So in the abbreviation, it's called congagement policy. But congagement policy, no more. That's very good. I want Bush Jr.'s administration to conclude, to finish this ambiguous congagement policy. But we waited very long time, but finally the United States of America is awake of danger of the communist China. Today's China is nothing but an evil empire. Once President Reagan called the Soviet Union evil empire. Now communist China, the Soviet Union is gone, that's good. But communist China is an evil empire. China is the greatest threat to US and Japan and other peace-loving countries, not only of Asia, but also of the world. It's the greatest threat of military threat and also economic threat. So we talk about this, not just space war, but that about cyber war, but we like to re-examine the quality and the quantity of threat imposed by China today. Thank you very much.